just kind of wanted to get here and kind of define myself in people's heads of like, oh, that's Dylan, he does this kind of thing. Because I also wanted that to feed the recording world of like, those are the records that I want to be on too. So why not just double down in this lane?
Welcome, everybody, to Nashville Drummers Podcast, episode 34. Before we get going here, just want to say, hope everyone had a safe 4th of July, as well as a fun and pleasant one. Hope you kept all your fingers. I hope you did play with fireworks, though. That's fun. Don't be a baby. Play with fireworks, but don't be an idiot. Keep your fingers.
I still have all my fingers, Nate.
Good.
Yeah, hope everyone is doing well. This will probably be the only episode this month. We're kind of just playing catch up here from traveling and just life. So thanks for sticking with us here. Our guest today is Dylan Murphy, drummer for Ben Chapman and Company. Also works out of Amber Sound Studios. Takeaway for me was really just understanding that Dylan came to Nashville with a really confident desire of what he wanted to do. We talk a lot about choosing your lane and staying in your lane. That's come up before on this podcast. And Dylan is another good example of someone that has done that and how that has behooved him. And if you're someone that is looking to get into the world of audio production, whether that be recording drums from your home studio or editing or post-production, this is definitely an episode for you. We get into Dylan's approach behind the board and getting sounds right from the source. He also encourages us to consider taking a front of house gig and how live sound has actually informed his work and his ears in the studio. Beyond the world of recording, Dylan is someone that you can tell just loves to perform, loves to be around musicians, and he gives us some valuable insights as well on the advice that we hear so often about being a good hang and how to be the best version of yourself and a dependable drummer while on the road.
You've heard of Drum Supply, but you gotta see their shop. It's a drum shop experience like no other. They're packed with all the gear a working drummer needs, and so many parts, noise toys, and accessories. It's a toy store. Curated cymbals, kits, and snares. The hands-on percussion room is nuts, and their custom shop work is fast and affordable. Andy and the guys know their stuff, and they're ready to help. And the big news, they just launched Drum Supply Rehearsal, a 24/7 rehearsal space for drummers. Learn more and grab discount codes at drumsupply.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast.
I have a little map in my phone. I've been crossing off states, and that is one I have not crossed off yet.
Really?
A lot of the New England states I haven't, and the Dakotas.
Yeah.
In terms of just visiting or gigging in?
Well, the map is supposed to be for shows, but, that one I'll give an exception to because I don't know when we're ever going to play there. But it might happen. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
And both North and South Dakota, oddly enough, you're like, well, there's like nothing in North Dakota. But one of my favorite shows on the road was in North Dakota in this podunk middle of nowhere town.
Yeah.
I used to play with this guy named Thomas Gabriel. He's Johnny Cash's grandson.
Okay.
And so we would do his tunes and like do a couple of Johnny tunes. And it was great. And he sounds exactly like his grandpa, which is crazy.
That's one of those Nashville gigs where it's like a real high-paying one-off, where it's like, oh, we're going to the middle of North Dakota,
right,
and we're all flying you up there or whatever. It's like one of those states where you're not really passing through routing-wise, but it's like, yeah, we got this one-off in Fargo, or wherever.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Especially when you hit the small, really small towns, they care a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, this is it. There's no other entertainment happening.
Yeah. Music and beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's Canada too.
So speaking of towns, will you tell everyone where you're from? And
originally, I was born in Lompoc, California. Moved to Ohio. My dad was getting his master's, and then quickly made our way back to Indiana, Pennsylvania. Yeah, so just
Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no.
Haven't heard of that place before.
There's a California, Pennsylvania. There's, if you look at any state, there's going to be another state in it.
True.
But pretty much first grade on Indiana, Pennsylvania, and then moved to Pittsburgh shortly after high school, and then again after college. So yeah, little bit of time spent there. Not probably 3 years total.
Yeah.
But yeah, just about an hour northeast of Pittsburgh.
Cool.
So not far at all.
And how long have you been in Nashville? Let's kind of get your backstory.
It'll be 3 years in September.
Okay. So yeah, we must have moved here at around the same time because it was 2020 for me.
Yeah, September of 2020.
September. Yeah.
And what was the impetus?
I had started studying percussion again halfway through college. So I was going to college pretty much completely unmusic related. I went for entertainment management at Point Park, was paying a lot of money, was doing a lot of stuff outside the classroom. I didn't feel like I was getting a lot from it. I was like, you know what? I do want to get a degree. I do want to go to school, but I'm not going to shell out private school money.
Yeah.
And then, sort of shooting myself in the foot if I ever want to play music, because there's no way I'd be doing this right now if I had that debt hanging over my head. So went to a state school, and then pretty shortly after, moved back to join a band was about half the reason. And shortly after that, started studying percussion again. So
what was the band?
The band was called Coastal Remedy. It was a lot of friends that I had in high school, friends that I started out playing with.
Yeah. And
one guy who was a couple years older than me that I just thought was an amazing singer-songwriter, great guitar player. And I just, when you're 18, 19, you just so badly want to be involved with that music that you love so much and be in a band with your friends. And that had a lot to do with me moving back. It wasn't all of it, but quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, like that's a thing when you're younger. I would say that that's still a thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, I get obsessed. Yeah, I get tunnel vision with that kind of stuff, which could definitely be helpful, but you can also burrow down too much and stay in longer than you maybe should. But fortunately, I haven't really been in a situation like that. But yeah, they had 2 demo sort of EPs that they had done with other drummers. I was the 3rd drummer to join the band, and I just listened to them obsessively. Like at the gym, I just wanted to be there and not where I was. I just wanted to be back playing music so badly. And I moved without being in the band yet, but I knew things were kind of turning. Yep. I knew things were going a certain way, and just kind of threw the Hail Mary pass, and it ended up working out. And we had to open up for a bunch of national acts in Pittsburgh, and quickly that turned into kind of playing with some other people and getting into the Pittsburgh music scene and meeting other musicians and opening up for a band that I had worked for in the past and was family friends with, and they were a nationally touring band, probably one of the only nationally touring bands out of Pittsburgh in the last 40 years. It's kind of a small music city. It's kind of the old guys, and then you have sort of the more cerebral rock that happens around CMU and Pitt, and we were kind of in that scene. But I had friends in the business, and they kind of helped us out, and we kind of had a small little label deal, and they were able to make a record. I was unfortunately, I was not on that record, but I was there for the recording process, and I was just kind of nipping at their heels to be in this band. And I was also the young guy at the time. I was 18, right. 19 when I moved back, and just so badly wanted to be playing with my best friend again. Who was on guitar, and just loved their sound and thought they really had something special. So that kind of engaged me into music again, got me back into music, where it was just a year of playing on the arm of my office chair in my dorm room. I didn't even have a kit that I was playing. I would go home, because it was only an hour away, and I only had class 4 days a week, and I would go home and play then. But it was a lot of rudiments on the arm of a chair.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
Just so hungry to be playing again,
That
kind of
oddly is
misery.
Great. It's just, it is the misery is the right word, but it's oddly like a great one.
It actually made me better to actually step, because, when you're at that age, you're just playing along to records and maybe not practicing these things you should be, and kind of just getting through band at school and getting through wind ensemble, and you like the things you like and you don't like the things you don't like, and I draw those hard lines. I was a bit of a a bit of a hyperactive kid, and I never did poorly in school, but it was like if I didn't like something, I was just gonna kind of go through the motions.
Yeah.
At that point, when I didn't have access to a kit, I was able to kind of just get my hands up and working and practice all that stuff that kind of been wedged in my brain but ignored a lot through those years, you know. So,
yeah, you can really do a lot on this instrument or away from the drums. Like
That's
you
the
can
great
get better
thing about
at
it,
the craft. I mean, we were talking beforehand. I've been using the gap clip or the gap click.
Yeah.
Literally just driving over here, like I can do that literally whenever.
Yes.
And going back to our convo with Rob and like that distracted practice, it was actually, I think, more beneficial that I was, of course, I mean, safely driving, operating a vehicle, but like having the turn signal on, of course, that's like a specific tempo,
right?
Which is not the tempo that I'm trying to listen to. And that was a good test.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
anyway,
I love
yeah,
that.
just like-
And then are you like trying to
I was
snap
creating
on the one?
polyrhythms between,
Oh, dude.
the car behind me is beeping. It was a whole,
That's
whole
awesome.
mess. Yeah, national traffic. Yeah.
That can actually be good when your brain is on something else and you're kind of practicing. It's my drum teacher always said it's like the half beer effect. It's like you kind of let go. He's like, dude, drink half a beer and then go practice all these things that we've been working on. It just it releases your inhibitions just
And you
a
were
hair.
13 at that last
Yeah.
Listen, kid, if
Yep.
you're not drinking,
Hey,
you're
you
not
want
thinking.
you want to be a great, you know. Come on, get with it. Crack this beer.
Do you lift weights at all?
Yeah. Intermittently through my life, like so during high school, quite a bit. Although I was more of a runner, and then I kind of committed to a workout plan when I was 21.
Okay,
and that's the first time I really like worked out. And it was one of those things where it was like a body transformation. I haven't done that since, though. You know, I it's all like calisthenics and running and yoga and stuff now. But I haven't really gotten in the gym. And right when I moved here, just kind of do, you know, certain exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, all that kind of stuff. But not really a true weightlifting practice since then. But I get into that mentality.
Well, there's a guy named Chris Duffin who is the only person to squat and deadlift 1,000 plus for reps ever. Only person that has ever done that. And he does something called whiskey deadlifts.
Yeah.
So he'll get in the gym and get warmed up and whatever, and start taking shots of whiskey when he's towards his top sets. He's like, it drops my inhibitions, and I'm able to just pull more.
This is like a Marshawn Lynch thing, or like, you know, the guy who pitched a perfect game on acid. You know, it can happen. Yeah, I wouldn't go that intense with it, but it is. I guess it's more of really a mindset, because I have done that, but once you do it a couple times, you're like, I can get there without it.
Yes.
You know?
And that should be the goal.
That should be the goal.
You should
right?
never be
yeah,
like, well, I want to be dependent on a substance.
No, because I've definitely, I've done tours where it's been, you know, not blackout drunk, obviously, but like the pre-show ritual. We're all going to do a shot.
Yeah.
You know, and one shot can turn into two shots, and then you're bringing the beer to the stage, and it's like, you know, you can get carried away with that. You know, I've never been in a situation where everybody's falling down, but you just start to play these games in your mind of like, if I do this, or, you know, if my sticks are organized a certain way or something like that, these pre-show rituals that you get into, and you're like, it's fun. And that's a big thing that my teacher, PJ, imparted on me. You know, I'd go up to, it was called the Space Upstairs, is this dance studio where we would practice, where he'd teach me, and you know, the stool would be too low and the snare wouldn't be tuned right. He's like, don't change a damn thing. Don't, just sit down and play. Sit down and play. And that's huge, because how many times are you sitting down on a kit that you're like, these toms are not breathing anymore at all. This drum set is dead. You know, it's like the meme of like, hey, we got a nice house kit for you, and the toms look
just
like,
bring your cymbals.
you know, looks like a fish's eyeball. Like
I sent you that meme today.
Yes.
It's like,
I'm going to show you this real quick.
yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, well, what you're saying also reminds me, as he's pulling this up to show you.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. I'll never understand it. You know, somebody just throws one up there. And fortunately now, like when we're going into venues, I'll just pull the kit off stage and not deal with that now that we're playing like clubs and stuff. But man, I'll play on pretty much anything. It just has to be like the semblance of a drum kit, something close to it.
Yeah.
And the hi-hat pedal's working, and then you're good to go. But
Well, I took a lesson. Do you know who Mike Mitchell is?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took a lesson with him a while back, and one of the main things I got from him was he will mess his setup up completely on purpose. He's like, I make it inconvenient to play, and then I just learn to play all my stuff that way. I'm like, that's that same thing. Like, you should just get comfortable being comfortable.
He would start taking pieces away while I was practicing a rhythm. He would
cool.
Set the kit up left-handed. We would do
Yeah,
that.
you've been doing. We're doing that in the old room. Right?
Yeah. And you just, especially when all the rest of life is going on, you just want to play, man. You're like, I just need to play. But if you force yourself to do it when you go back to playing normally, it's like euphoric,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, if you suddenly have your ideal setup, you're like, this is like butter.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, it goes back to how we first met, which was Bus Call,
Yeah.
right? A few
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. And then saw you recently at Whiskey Jam.
Yep.
Specifically those two gigs in town, it's like, for those that haven't played there or been to those events, it's, quick turnover.
Yeah.
You got 6 to 8 artists playing, and
Yep.
you don't have time. You literally don't have time to make sure everything's
No.
set. You have to be ready.
At the very least, it is one up, one down. Like the last show I just played was a festival thing, and for whatever reason, the kit was there was a rack mount, and there were these crazy cymbal stands off there and 2 up, and I'm like, when did we move away from just the industry standard 1 up, 1 down? Like I don't know why we have to do all this, and then you catch yourself just hitting rims on fills, and so you're like, this is the worst thing in the world. But you make do, and you should be able to play on that stuff. But I think everybody's figured out that like that setup is what everybody wants. And I don't think anybody's messing with like a 7-piece or an 8-piece kit anymore. It just seems like it's dying out. And if it's a headlining tour or whatever, and you have the same stuff every night, great, do it, add to it. But like, I don't think there's anybody who's like lugging in a massive drum set anymore for an opening slot or on a 5-band bill. I haven't seen it. I don't think it happens.
Yeah. So tell everyone who you're currently playing with, and we can kind of get into. It's just been cool to follow your journey.
Yeah. So since I think it was April of 2021, I've been a member of Ben Chapman and Company. I met Ben. I think he was coming over to my apartment. I lived with a guy, Matt McKinney, when I first moved here. He's a writer. He's on Sony still, and he's just coming over to the apartment to hang out. Ran into him. I think I'd seen him at a round previous to that. And I remember thinking while I was watching this guy, I was like, if there's one guy in town that I've seen so far that I want to play with, it's that guy right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
what made you, just going back to that moment, what made you feel that way?
I moved here to tour. That was I didn't really have like a super specific goal. I either wanted to play with a really badass lead guitar player or a really silky smooth, ambient, creative female artist. Like I kind of had like the Casey Musgraves thing in my mind, and I also had like a Kenny Wayne Shepherd or a John Mayer or something. It was like those two ideas in my head, and I was like, and then everything in between. But I was like, okay, if I could like get with somebody like that and tour, I just really, really, really want to tour, and record. But I remember seeing him, and he was just so funky and just didn't give a shit, and like just was just raw, and just really went up there and commanded. And I was kind of addicted to it. I was like, yeah, that's, anytime his name was on around, I was going out and watching him. And we kind of quickly became friends, especially just after talking about music. It was like we shared the name of a couple artists, and we knew that we kind of dug each other and just the kind of the energy we were putting out, the vibe. And I remember, gosh, it was like 8 months into me living here. I think I just got done working, made myself a big dinner. I sat down on the couch. I was like, all right, I'm packing it in tonight. And I saw on Instagram, I was going through, I saw a story of a guy I had just done a gig with, Jesse Wayne Taylor. And he was doing a gig at Taco Bell Cantina down on 2nd and Broadway. And I saw Ben was there. He was sitting in with him, to kind of get through the 3-hour show. It's like nice to have somebody with you who can like also like solo and, shout out different song ideas.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm getting in the car. I'm going down there. And I went down there, and Ben's like dude, sit in. And I'm like looking at the kit like, oh God, it's just like these cymbals and this kit. I'm like, all right, whatever. I was only able to find one drumstick. I was like, okay. And I'm looking around for this other drumstick, and I'm like, do I have it in any of my car? I just cleaned out my car. I don't have any drumsticks in there. And I'm like, well, I got to find another one. So I literally run across the street to like George Jones's. I'm like asking, I'm like, do you have a drumstick? They're like, what? A drumstick? You know what? I'm like, never mind. And I end up asking the kitchen staff for a nacho cheese spoon. And I just play for 2 hours with just one drumstick and a nacho cheese spoon. Right? Like, so, no. I just did the whole gig like that. And
that might be one of the best stories you've heard.
Yeah,
that is.
And I get off stage and everything's cool. And literally a week later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, I'm looking for a full-time drummer. I just signed a pub deal.
Oh my
whatever.
God.
And he's like, do you want to get on? And it was a little slow going at first, but like.
The nacho cheese got you that gig.
The nacho cheese did. And the manager was like, yeah, that's so cool. He's like, bend it up, do what and I was like, because you're trying to do side stick and the spoon part is getting in the way, and I was just bending it up any way I could.
Is there video evidence of this anywhere?
Maybe an Instagram story somewhere in the backlog. But we just started having rehearsals, and it was like instant connection. We're like, okay, there's something here for sure. Yeah. And we've had member changes since, but it's been
but you've been constant.
Yeah, and our first show was with Drake White at Marathon Music Works, and we did another one with Flatland, and it just kind of slowly but surely. And then we started doing our residency at the basement called Peach Jam, and getting on tours and just little by little.
Back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of, and playing with other people all the while. And I that's right around the time, or actually right before that, I started working over at Saxman Studios.
Yeah.
And
we'll get into.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that story. I mean, that's like the age-old advice that Rich Redmond or Jake Summers would tell you: just go to writers' rounds, rounds, network.
It was all that, man.
Be yourself.
It 6 months I didn't play.
Yeah.
It was literally, and a part of that was obviously being in COVID times. But I moved down here with the intention of just get a friend group going, be a person first and a player second.
Exactly.
Which we hear it all the time. It's kind of cheesy, but like I felt like COVID kind of slowed everything down, and we all got to do that again. And I wouldn't trade that time for anything, just to be a cool dude to be around first and a good hang and get to know people personally. Yeah. And a lot of those people I first met here are having massive success now. So,
yeah. I mean, that just seems to be the truth. I mean, people want to hire their friends, and obviously, like, especially the music we're playing, like it's never super complicated stuff, No. So like, how do you narrow down the pool? You got to have that personality, and
it's a lot of time in the car, man.
The vibe, Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of time, eating lunch together and sleeping in the same hotel room and getting on planes and just experiencing just the sometimes mundane aspects of life. So you got to have somebody who's there to lift the spirits and just be ready to not just do music related things.
Yeah, I think as drummers, like our role, maybe more so than other instruments, is like, you want to make sure the artist is comfortable.
That's huge.
I mean, every musician should aim for that as well, right? Guitar, bass, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think Ben and I have that, or I know we do, is like that trust factor of like, I'm not going to like just collapse behind the kid and just have like, we're going to be good. Yeah. Even if it's the show's a little off or whatever, we're not feeling good, or somebody's had too much coffee or too much to drink or didn't get enough sleep, it's like, it's going to be okay, And that'll take you pretty far.
Yeah. Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Consistency,
that's huge.
People like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also want to be real, too. You don't want to be like the guy, like, everything's fine, and just be fake. But, just don't, like, be a wild card and just be doing off-the-wall shit all the just be who you are, and I think people will be attracted to that.
I think the maybe the word to encapsulate that is dependable.
Dependable, yeah.
And dependable takes different forms, but if you are who you are, like this is the person that you're getting.
Yeah.
This is me, all of it right up front. This is what you will receive every day.
Yeah.
I will be this exact person.
Yeah.
People love that.
Yes.
And also, if they're not into what you've got, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's helpful for them to know so that they can decide. So you can decide, hey,
absolutely.
You don't want what I have to offer. That's totally cool. I have no interest in being in a situation with somebody who's not going to dig what I'm about.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, and just at a baseline level, too. Like, you can just be the dependable guy who's nice to be around. And then you meet other people where you're like, you're kind of like me. You're kind of like the me that I am behind closed doors. You're kind of like the me that I am with my friends. And you sort of can be tangential in that way. Be a little bit crazy, be a little bit fun, get everybody drinking, whatever, and be the fun guy, too. Right. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. Mm-hmm. You know, you start to kind of play with that a little bit. And then, you know, out of it, you get 3-4 new friendships too.
It's true.
So, yeah.
I think another parallel, just again, going back to like being yourself and going to writers' rounds and meeting people, just being a physical presence in any community, in any music city, especially if you are trying to get gigs. You know, 'cause that's like a big goal for me here in 2023. Like, I'm looking for more gigs, looking to quote unquote network more. And I know that I've had this talk with a lot of people on the podcast, off the podcast, with you, Nathan. Like, I think you said it best. You're like, if you want different results, you have to.
Well, yeah,
you got to do something different.
Yeah, well, the way I think of it is like one of the phrases that is in my head is every new level requires a new you.
Yeah,
and the other thing is that if you just keep doing the same thing, your results will be the same as they always have been.
Yeah, I mean that's the definition of a crazy person, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results, but you're not changing.
And that's not accounting for just total blind dumb luck. You can hit the lottery.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to be realistic about your life, you have to be like, well, I'm not getting this thing that I want. Okay, well then do something different.
Yeah.
What that is, I don't know.
I feel like the thing that's always helped me in those situations, especially when you just start to get kind of overheated and overloaded and you're kind of got a lot of stuff on the calendar that you're happy to have it because it pays or whatever, but you don't really feeling it, is like to just pare back everything to like, what do I love? Because some people love drumming, like love the drums physically. Like they like getting gear and collecting gear. And that's cool too. Like, I'm a gearhead, not really with drums, but like recording equipment. It's fun to know. It's fun to talk shop. It's fun to know about that stuff. It's fun to look at that stuff. It's fun to have something new. Yeah. But the whole thing with, I think, going to writers' rounds that I experienced is like, I just love music. And like, there was a period of time where I wasn't really like playing a lot in college. Like, I was trying to finish my degree. I was just really studying. I wasn't taking a lot of gigs because there wasn't really anything that I felt strongly about other than advancing my skill on the drum set with that specific teacher at that specific time. And moving down here, I was like, well, I can just be a fan of good songs for a minute. Like, I just take 6 months, my first 6 months in Nashville, to just be a fan of music that I like. Yeah. And show up. And first of all, you're not just moving here to be a musician. You're a person who is moving your life from one city to another. Like, people just have trouble doing that. So you got to kind of give yourself a pat on the back for just doing that. Like, such a small percentage of people actually move away from where they grew up. So it's like, just take a minute and just be a person in a new city, a young person in a new city. That's awesome.
Such a good point.
Yeah. It's like, just click into that first and then build, you know?
Yeah. When I first moved here, I was going, well, I still do. Shout out to Aaron Schilb from Nashville Tour Stop and all the great things he's doing for this community. I was just at Sonny's. I try to go every few weeks. But to that point, I'm going and I may not know every single artist. I mean, the goal is to meet new artists, so that's a good thing. But yeah, just show up and support, like you said, just good music. You know, sometimes there's no drumming or cajon. It's just, 4 artists doing their songs. You know, you meet people afterwards, you get a beer, you have a good time, you network.
Yeah.
I met, I've met artists that like months ago that now I'm getting hit up for gigs.
Yeah.
Or I've met other drummers also doing the same thing I'm doing. And then you're going to get them on the podcast. You know, like, you never know what that result's going to be.
Yeah. And it was a lot of that for me at first. Like, so just one person was like, okay, it seems like I haven't seen you play, but it seems like you can play from the conversations I've had with you and people that you play with, people that maybe seen you play. And then all it takes is that one chance, and then it kind of splinters out from that. But like, I always say I'm a drummer who like was supposed to be a guitar player. Like, I love guitar more than anything else. I really can't play guitar very well at all. It is the instrument that I started on when I was really young, but I watch a band for the guitar player. I watch YouTube videos for the guitar player. I like drummers who can play off of the guitar player. Like, it's all centered around that. So, like, and songwriting and just good songs. So, like, legitimately, when I was going out watching this, I was enjoying it, not just for the hang, but actually seeing these people play. So that you got to kind of really love that, or else it's going to get old pretty fast. The whole going out and having like 2 beers every night gets pretty old. Pretty
your
quick,
wallet's not going to like that also.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if you can go out and just have a soda water and just sit and watch, you know, you're doing all right, and just keep that up and use up all of your time just to do that, and get a little group together and people start throwing your name around, and that's pretty much it, you know?
Yeah, baby steps, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you too, just back to the music thing. Like, when I think of some of my favorite songs, it's very rarely like just the drums.
Yeah.
It's probably a good groove, or like I know the drummer on it, you know, like a Dennis Chambers or Todd Zirkerman.
Yeah,
Travis Barker. But like, I like, for me at least, I like songs because of the melody.
Yes.
Could be a cool guitar riff also.
And you could argue that a lot of those grooves are melodies in their own right, and that's usually the stuff that I am enamored by. Is making a melody on the kit. And I think that's why I like Latin drumming so much, is because like a Daphnis Puerto or a Dennis Chambers or Billy Martin, whoever, like that stuff just gets me going, because it's like everything in one. It's like you're making music on the kit, coordination, independence, like it all just converges into one, and it's just the most it's the style that's most easily, you could be easily enthralled by it, I think. Just because of the diversity, which you just changing 1/16 note can change the whole thing. And it's like solving a puzzle, and it's also music at the same time. So.
Yeah, Latin music ticks a lot of boxes.
Yes. Yeah, it does. It may be even more than jazz. You know, African and Latin drumming, I think, will make you a musical player, will give you touch, will give you coordination, will give you like extra brain power. Like it's just kind of everything all in one.
Well, that's I think there's kind of 3 categories for musical enjoyment. And this is for me. I won't speak for everyone. I think it kind of applies to everyone, but for me, does it make you want to move? So, like danceable. All right, cool. Is it somehow intellectually stimulating? Is it creative, or some challenging? And does it tug on your heartstrings?
Yeah,
it's like those are kind of the 3 categories that there are. And Latin for sure, extremely danceable.
Yeah,
and creative and interesting, like make challenging rhythmic. So it's 2 giant ticks on those 2 boxes for sure.
And I think it gets you out of the headspace of just kind of Western, like all the music that we grew up listening to on the radio. It kind of challenges your brain a little bit, where like if you go down to talk to these people in these countries, that's the most normal, they feel it. It's the most normal feeling thing. They're like, well, yeah, that bar in 5 is just a bar in 5, and that's fun. It just goes to show you how much we're like inundated with that 4/4 or the 6/8, like growing up. You know?
Yeah, well, and it actually kind of pisses me off when I think about the fact that there are so many producers out there who have purposefully dumbed down ideas, because they're like, well, people won't grasp that. Like that bullshit. Yeah, people can grasp way more. Just give them a chance to.
Yeah. I always call it the medicine and the dog food. You know, if you could slip the medicine in the dog food without the dog knowing, then you're on to something. Like and people don't really know. They might not know what they're hearing. They might not know how many strings are on a guitar or what a drum set looks like or whatever. But they know that feels a little bit different. Yeah. And as long as it's catchy, man, and you can move to it, yeah. I don't think that stuff should be overlooked. Yeah.
You listen. I mean, there's like like Irish jigs that are in like bizarre time signatures. You're like, if you actually took the time to count that, you'd be like, oh shit, that's in 17.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a million musicals too. Like Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat is in 13/8 in Cats. It's like nobody's ever thought about that. And everybody, that's a little weird. No. That's a little odd. Or there's just Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat.
Dude, my favorite Todd Zirkerman, I think it was from his Methods and Mechanics DVD. He has a bunch of I think they were drumless tracks, and it's Tears of Joy, which is entirely in 13.
Yeah.
Just to me, one of the most beautiful compositions. He just does his own drumming to it. To your point, like it's approachable, I think, to most people, even though it's in a weird time signature.
Yeah.
Just the way he's drumming to it, the melody, it's just, I love that.
I had the pleasure of seeing Terry Bozzio live. I think it was probably 2019. And that was was so great. That was at the Oakmont Theater in Pittsburgh.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
That was really, really cool. And Tommy Igo came to my high school when I was there and did this whole drumming master class and stuff too. Yeah. But I mean, you could definitely fall down the rabbit hole with that stuff, and it could definitely become just sort of a competitive thing and a sort of a circus act or whatever. But
Nate's smiling.
The thing about it is,
he's like, I live in the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, it just makes your 4/4 and 6/8 that much better if you could do that stuff. That's the thing, is it makes you just feel music even deeper, and whenever a guitar player will do something, you can react that much quicker with something that might just be a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah. We've used the car analogy on here a bunch, of like a car that can go 98 miles per hour in 5 seconds. You're not going to ever need to use that on the road, but then, all of a sudden going 30 is easier.
Right. You know? To get out of a car that's about to, out of the way of a car that's about to hit you. Like, well,
Or you could feel the power.
Right.
You know, you're like, I'm not going to use it, but I can put my foot on the gas just a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of what PJ and I did was, hey, just a swing rhythm in one hand and doubles in the other. Just that kind of stuff of like, that sounds great against one another. Yeah. That takes a lot of coordination to do things like that. You don't just like, some people can just do it, but like, you don't just do that when you're 8 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's an advanced technique.
Yeah, just doing one ostinato on one hand, the other. It's like people can sing that, and once you can commit to having two different melodies going on at once, as soon as a stringed instrument comes into the mix or a vocalist, it's like, oh, that sounds like this thing. Oh, I can build it up. And I'll tell you, like, in my experience doing that, especially with Ben, it gets guitar players in a frenzy. They're just like, yeah, and they just want to rip it even harder. And then at the end of the day, isn't that your job as a drummer?
Yeah.
So,
you elevate everybody around you.
You just want to be able to, if they're going crazy, you want to be able to just add that 5% so they're going even crazier, and they might go over their ability or whatever, and just, it really brings the jam to life. In the project that I'm in, there's a lot of jamming. So it's always that thing of like hearing the guitar player doing something, you're like, oh, I like that he does that a lot. Well, let me kind of figure out a thing I could do over that. Oh, that's cool. And it's just, I go to bed thinking about stuff like that. Of like, what's that little like combination I can do off of that? And then that can take that solo into that part or whatever. And it's just like a puzzle.
Do you take notes like that when you're falling asleep so you don't forget?
Not as much as I should. I do write stuff down like that, especially in like the books that I work out of. I'm not really book heavy, but there have been a few in my life that I've liked a lot.
Which ones?
2 in particular. And they're kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and that's why I like it. Yeah. And I only really want to work out it for the exceptions being the early Hal Leonard and the Ted Reed and all that stuff. The stuff that you get when it's like, you want to play this instrument, and the school just hands you this. It's stick control and rhythm. Billy Martin's book.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know that one.
So that has a lot of stuff in 10, a lot of stuff in 6, a lot of claves. So it's like drum set, pad, and I just have those two camps. It's like when I'm on the pad, it's this book. When I'm on the drum set, it's this book.
That's so smart.
Touring will obviously take you away from that stuff. I do take the stick control book out, or I'll write a couple down and go, okay, just work on this.
If you've got a 6-hour ride, and you're like,
as much as to the dismay of the members of the band in the van,
you just get one of those quiet practice pads and you just play it real soft and it doesn't bother anybody.
Yeah, Ben's favorite thing to say is, "You're warm, you're warm." He's always saying, "You're warm, you're warm."
I'm like,
he's like, yeah, shut up now.
I'm like, maybe I'm warm, but I'm not a legend yet.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah. What are we chasing here?
Yeah. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to my former drum teacher, Blake Fleming. I don't know if you know him.
No.
He was the original drummer for the Mars Volta, and he very
at the drive-in era stuff, like before John.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, I'm a fan then. Yeah.
No, he would have been the guy on. I always forget the freaking name of the album.
Deloused in the Comatorium?
Before there was one.
Okay,
one full Deloused.
See, that's why it's like with Deloused is John Theodore.
Yeah.
And I think Blake probably was in at the drive-in. Huge fan.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of my favorite lessons, because he was very much tried to impart on his students the influence of Latin rhythms and jazz.
Yeah.
We would always do like the Bayonne rhythm, the kick and hat going, and then I'm plugging his new book, or not new anymore, but it's called The Book of Rhythm. And similar sort of format to like a stick control where it's literally just rhythms on a page. You go different permutations, and he's got like, it's over 5,000 rhythms. It's insane. He's gone through literally every permutation. It's up to you to kind of play around with those rhythms.
Yeah.
And I think you might enjoy that, especially with like the Latin.
I'd like that a lot, yeah.
And there's no time signatures either, so you could feel stuff in 6/8 or 12 or 3.
Oh, there have been times where I can't get something and I'm messing it up by a 16th note or a 32nd note, and it's like, wait, that sounds kind of cool. Or it sounds cool to just chop it off at the end and just simplify it and use it that way.
Yeah.
This is all, it's like you start playing a lot of shows and touring, like all this just goes by the wayside. So you have to like fight to still practice this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
A lot of the green room stuff is like, all right, well, let me just like do like a 6-stroke roll with the left hand leading, and I just want to get that as like milky as possible. Or I'd like to bump that up 5 BPM or whatever. It's like very related to like the show or like that roll in that part of the song. I'd like to like grease that up a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't cracked the rhythm book open probably in a couple months. But yeah, that's just the thing of being a working drummer. It's like that. You can't practice because you're playing all the time. It's like, well, why'd you practice all the time? Just to play.
Exactly. Well, yeah, man. I mean, before this interview, we were kind of hanging beforehand, and we're kind of diving into metronomes. Maybe we could talk about that for a little bit because we were discussing different apps. And my thing lately has been getting more into Ableton and tracks and kind of learning that. And I'm always, whenever I meet a drummer, that's like my first question now. I'm like, do you do Ableton? Like, not just if you do it, but like, does the gig you're on require that? That kind of approach. And then we started talking about, you have some cool techniques that you use just to kind of count off songs, and it's not a full tracks rig or anything like that.
Yeah,
right?
no. I mean, with Ben, up until just recently, it was all visual metronome, and we just rehearsed a lot because it's like sort of the main band that I'm in. And now really the only, with the exception of demoing sessions that I'm doing or overdubs or live band tracking, it's kind of, that's like the gig for me. But occasionally I will do other sort of more pop-centric things. The only time I've ever really done a tracks-related thing is prepping tracks for somebody else because I can't do the gig. Doing, throwing tracks on an SPD and like doing a live in studio thing. I've never owned Ableton. I've used it on other people's laptops, like in a church situation, but I don't think I've really ever done a live tracks gig in my whole time in Nashville. Just because I knew what I wanted to do. Like, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah.
I just kind of knew what I wanted when I moved to town.
Yeah, you had your lane.
Like,
and you were,
and I was like, that's fine if that comes up,
well.
whatever. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of pop music. Like, I love like pop music. Like that Ariana Grande record I think is great, like just from a production standpoint, because I'm such a recording head too and like engineer that I love that for different reasons. Or Muna or Fletcher or the band Camino or whatever. I love that stuff a lot. It's not necessarily one I want to be playing. Would I play it? Yeah. But, I just kind of wanted to get here and kind of define myself in people's heads of like, oh, that's Dylan, he does this kind of thing. Because I also wanted that to feed the recording world of like, those are the records that I want to be on too.
Yeah.
So why not just double down in this lane? And if anything comes up, if I could say yes to it, I will. But I am Ableton dumb. I'm completely ignorant to that.
Yeah.
But Pro Tools I got. Logic is quickly fleeting. But when I started working for Grady, he got me up to speed pretty quick on Pro Tools. I did the whole Avid course and like bought that and just use Pro Tools every week now. But
yeah. So tell us on the gig with Ben, like, because we were talking before about having, or not just that gig, but I think you were saying even on some of the stuff in town, like at a bus call or a whiskey jam, where you might use like that visual metronome and kind
Right,
of describe
yeah.
that process and
Man, it's kind of like
how that's
gig
worked.
to gig. It's like when I say yes to a gig with an artist, I kind of know what the vibe is. Like I've done, where I go, well, this gig is obviously going to be fully on click. With Ben, it's just been this sort of organic experience of messing with the visual, the going off the click coming back, starting songs with the click and cutting it, doing full songs with the click. We're kind of just
And is
starting
that
to
just
figure
you
out.
having the click, or
Yeah, that'd
Right.
be just me for now. At least we're kind of getting a monitor rig together too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe for as long as it is the way it is now, probably just me, because we like everything to kind of ride over top of it a little bit loose. And we play together all the time, so we're already so tight.
Right.
So it's not as hard as, I've played with some people where I'm like, this is miserable. I'm like having to be like the big swinging dong in the back where I just go, this is the tempo. And nobody likes doing that, but it is like, you kind of have to do that as a drummer. And that was imparted on me early on when I moved to town, because I never really had to do that before.
Yeah.
When you're in a band in your hometown or in the city that you're from, it's like, you kind of just do whatever feels right. You never even think about gridding or the industry standard or what might matter. Like I practiced to a metronome forever. I didn't really do a lot of like live situations with that. And that's probably one thing I would have done more, was take maybe some gigs that I wasn't emotionally connected to, just to get like the reps in.
Yeah.
It was never an issue, but it's like, oh man, this could be like a no-brainer instead of having to like think about. I probably would have just charged in and done like every gig and just been like, click God, and just just played and just stormed through and just not really have thought about the music very much, and just be back there playing the songs and doing everything like the record.
Right.
And so I think it's kind of been good to have that two sides. It's two halves of my brain, the way I think about using a tool like that. It's cool to have that imparted on you and to be able to do that in practice, but it's just as cool to be able to do it without. That's the thing. It's like, dude, my friend, he told me a story not long ago of this pretty high-profile drummer who was actually my drum teacher early on in life, who got a pretty big gig, and he came back to our hometown, and he went to sit in with them, and they were going to play like, I forget what song, and it was like Hawthorne Heights or something, some pop punk song, and he literally played it like twice the speed. And he's like, oh, sorry, man, I haven't played a show without a click in a long time. Now that's a problem. So that can bite you in the ass just as much as never playing to a metronome. I think I'll go back to that Aaron Sterling quote. He's like, in his masterclass, he's like, playing to a click has to feel natural. Playing without a click has to feel natural. It's just what you do. It's just, these are the drums. This is how we're making music now. You should be able to just sort of ebb and flow between the two and just make it natural. I don't like the whole like, well, everything has to be this way or everything has to be, just feel it out. And obviously when you're playing a pop country gig, it's like everything's slammed to the grid with Beat Detective. Might want to use a metronome for that gig. Yeah. If it's a singer-songwriter thing in a coffee house, don't be the guy who's coming in like, oh, 1, 2, 3, and counting. It's like, dude, just chill. It's just let it be organic.
The vibe, the artist, all that has to come first.
I think in the last 10 years or 20 years in Nashville, it's just become of like, well, this is how we do things, and there's really no other way, and you better just get hip to it or you're not going to work. It's like, you much would rather be the guy who can do both flawlessly and just sort of whatever comes your way of like, okay, let's do that one to a click. Let's do tracks of this one, whatever, just be the yes man, be the cool guy in the room who's just like, that's a good idea. Let's try it out. Yeah. Let's take it down a couple BPM. Let's take it up, whatever.
This came up with our combo with Perry and then with you and Crusade, right? Like having the click sometimes can be a negative in the live show because then it overtakes like that, the chance for freedom and expression, solos, maybe. He's ripping on a guitar solo and he wants to extend it. It's like, oh, wait, you can't do anything.
Especially if it's towards the end of the song, just kill it. Just play. Everybody, why do we practice so much? It's like, why do we like drill things? It's to be able to then have that freedom and be the time in the back of the room and be able to go off a little bit. And somebody say, that felt great, and you're like, I wasn't using a metronome, just kind of, you want to be able to, I think the goal as a drummer is to be able to start out at 78 and then be a minute and a half in and be in the ballpark. I think that's more of why we practice and use a metronome in the first place. It's not so much to have everything sound like electronic music, you know? And a metronome could really be anything. Like Rich Redmond, he uses that Alesis drum machine, and he calls it like his little Latin friend or something like that. And it's just loops, you know, he's playing loops. It's just about having consistent time. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. Like, I think about Zoltan, the drummer for Muscadine. I'm a huge fan of them, and they work out of Amber Sound, and I love that record they put out. There's like tempo changes in the songs or whatever, and they don't really use tracks, but he's using the SPD to trigger tempo changes, and it could just get really creative and be cool. It doesn't have to just be this placid thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing to me is seeing bands that are doing like really, really technical things.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the prog world. That's probably where my strongest.
Well, I think of
interest
Animals as leaders, man. They're doing tempo change. They're doing time signature changes. They're doing, you know.
But like, have you checked out Car Bomb?
No, I don't know Car Bomb.
Car Bomb is incredible, and those guys would all be like Car Bomb. They're like top of the food chain.
Yeah.
For us, that's like the Animals as leaders guys, the Periphery guys. All of them would be like Car Bomb.
Yeah, I'm a huge Chon head, like addicted to
Right,
Chon.
right
Like, that's
on.
been my band for forever.
Love it.
You
That's
know?
cool, man. Yeah, dude. Well, check them out, and they do not use a click. They're doing time and tempo changes, and it's ridiculous how precise they are live with no click.
Right,
How-
because
how? Yes.
They play together all the time, and that's the thing with us and the Ben Chapman Band is like time can become when one person's playing one way and another person's playing the other way. If they do it enough together, the audience will take that in as something that sounds like it's perfectly in time because of two things that are creating or working off of time together. If they converge at the right moment, it sounds pleasant. Just like somebody singing kind of out of key or a guitar being kind of out of tune. If you listen to like Rolling Stones records, that kind of can become normal to somebody. And you know, that's like a sound in itself. I have that Thursday record, Full Collapse, in my car right now. And I think a lot of that was, I mean, it's 2002, you know, it could have been all on a grid or whatever, but there's a lot of tempo changes and things kind of ebbing and flowing. And it's like, that's a sound, man.
It is.
And that's kind of what we're going for of like, like I said, we're only recently bringing in like an actual aural audible click. Like it's all been visual at this point just to start the song. And like, that's the music that we like. All we're listening to is the Dead.
Yeah.
And the Allman Brothers in the car. A lot of Dead. And we nitpick the show, you know, we'll listen back to a cell phone recording I haven't got, or I'll get a board print from the sound engineer and I kind of had an Aaron hi-hat hit there, and we'll get really obsessed with it. And then we'll put on a version of US Blues by the Dead in like 78, and it's literally awful. Like it's a bad show, or they had to restart the song, and we all just we just laugh to ourselves. We're like, what are we getting so...
I love it.
You know, and we
like,
love that band. So it's like you can really get into tunnel vision with that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that takes you back to what I was saying of like, it's just a tool, whatever. You know, it doesn't need to be overthought. No. It's a nice practice tool. It's great for making music in the modern age. It's great for making certain styles of music more than others, I think. I don't know, makes recording great and easy and editing easy, which is awesome. It's just another tool, you know, just like anything in music, just like your ears or your snare or the guitar or a pedal or whatever. It's just a tool to use, you know.
Let's talk recording next. Just a quick aside though, have you ever used one of those rhythm watches?
Early on in the Ben Chapman Band, I'm like, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll get one of those vibrating watches and I'll start the song out that way. That then never lasted. And then I figured out the flashing light was kind of where I landed with
Have
everything.
you ever used one of those?
No.
It looked kind of cool. But
I owned
I've never
one,
tried one.
Soundbrenner, I think is what it is. Yeah,
That's one of the first ones. Maybe.
I tried one, man. I tried it on my leg. I tried it on the arm, and I was like, I don't think this is going to work for me. But it definitely is a useful practice tool. I don't think it's very applicable in a live setting.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be kind of weird.
It is. Yeah, I hate having something on my wrist when I'm playing drums too. So
I think
that's
that'd
kind
be
of.
really distracting.
And I even tried the chest thing, man. I was like, no, this ain't it. It's like my pacemaker on.
You know what? Oddly, I've grown to really enjoy. I swear, this Godzilla watch that I got for my birthday. Helps
like
me
that.
play better.
Ooh, the weight.
It's
I think,
something
yeah.
about, well, I'm realizing that like doing less arm, more wrist,
Yeah.
and really,
Equal parts restraint,
Yes.
equal parts, adding some give or some carry to your hand or whatever.
there's something there, and I'm like, it like cues me mentally. Oh, don't do that, dude.
Don't bash
do this,
the
do
Godzilla
this.
watch, man.
Do that. Like let it.
Yeah.
Like you can still get tons of power. Just use good technique and do it. Just I'm like, okay, all right. Serving the Nashville, Brentwood, and Franklin areas, Music Lab Nashville offers comprehensive hands-on music lessons in contemporary techniques and styles. Students learn from the most qualified instructors in state-of-the-art practice and performance settings. All ages, all styles, all levels. Visit nashville.musiclab.co to learn more and to sign up for a free trial lesson.
Yeah, you mentioned you kind of like moving here and you kind of had your lane that you were picking out in terms of touring and picking up genres. But then the other side of that was also, your passion for recording and sessions and all that. So yeah, let's dive into that. You work out of Amber Sound Studios.
Yeah. Currently out of Amber Sound, doing overdubs. We have a full live tracking room. We have isolation booths. I think the link to their website will be tagged below in this podcast. I've been there since, I think right after I moved out of my last house, so probably August or July of 2022. It's been great, man. It's exactly what I need, especially coming off of the road. And it kind of furthered my love for recording. We have a big 1978 PM 2000 Yamaha board. So those are all the pre's. A nice big patch bay, some other outboard gear, transient designers, whatever. I could pretty much get any sound I want. And it's kind of taken me to that next level of going from just having the interface and the mics to having maybe just a little bit of outboard gear to getting the room and then just kind of bust the doors open and be able to track like real live sessions, which is what I want to be doing.
So what's
more
your
of.
role specifically at the studio?
It's me, Matt Poole, Zach Allen, and Ryan Yeomans, and those are the only people that use it. Zach is a Grammy award-winning engineer. He works all over town. Matt has done many indie sessions. He's a great front of house engineer. Now a good friend of mine, lover of breweries and coffee, and a family man, and fellow fisherman, and he's become a really close friend of the band too.
Yeah.
He helped us record Amber Sound Volume 1, which is the first project that we've done as a band, as Ben Chapman and Co. And we also recorded recently Ivan Pulley's record. He's a guitar player in Ben Chapman and Company.
Ivan. I love Ivan.
There you go.
Dude, that's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, was the keys player in Ben Chapman and Co. If you've ever seen him play piano, he's a madman on the piano, flipping that hair around.
Dude, yeah.
And now he is on lead guitar.
Awesome.
And he has just been jerrying it up lately. It's just been nothing but dead, and we're just infusing that into the sound.
That's
lately.
awesome. Okay, I love this connection. You gotta give him a big old hug from me.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
I will. The sweetest man. And him and I's humor are like we're just the same. We quote movies all day long, and he's just become one of my best friends. All the guys in the band are my best friends, but him and I have a certain connection when it comes to humor. But we all track out of there, and I want to start engineering and tracking and playing on my own live tracking sessions. But more than that, just doing drum overdubs. I love just being able to move the gobos around, get dead sounds, get live sounds. Ryan has made it so easy to bring up and down any microphone you want. We have 2 mic tech pencil condensers in the ceiling. That's kind of our big room sound, and then everything in between. And that's kind of, for the last couple of months, have been kind of getting more and more of the drum overdubs. So if anybody needs drum overdubs, hit me up. But that's kind of my role over there. And I'll assist Matt from time to time with just kind of prepping for sessions and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of help everybody out there. I do quite a bit of editing out of there too. I've done track prep for people. I've done intros for people out of there. I do Steven's Drum Shed down in Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mix his
very
drum
cool.
camp stuff and
Nice.
Very
prep
cool.
all those
Wow.
mixes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just
I always forget he's
always
here in
playing
Tennessee.
related. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tennessee,
I
not
love it
Nashville,
down there,
right?
man.
But,
Yeah.
you gotta talk to him.
I'm playing down there on Friday. I love
Nice.
Columbia, Tennessee. That's like one of those hidden gems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the last hidden gems in this area, I guess. Yeah. But
It's cool, man. So where did this love for recording
so
start for you?
it actually kind of started. I don't know where, like the idea for the spark came from when I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, but I actually went to Temple to tour their audio engineering department, and I think I was just too young at the time or whatever. But I was like, I didn't think it looked like professional enough, and I kind of like didn't want to go to school that far away. It was like college wasn't even in like the purview yet. But my uncle was the director of communications department there. So he said, we'll come down tour. This is something you want to do.
Yeah.
And as high school went on, just, you know, all I wanted to do was play. And I had some recording gear and I messed around in Audacity and, you know, never really like got up to speed on it. And then pretty quickly after high school, probably 2 years into college, I'm like, I'm just going to buy Logic, and just started with whatever I had, you know, moving mics around, just, okay, I got to worry about phase and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the biggest thing starting out is there's so much, not just like the gatekeeping online, but like there's so much mystery with recording now, and so much like it's just saturated. The YouTube's just saturated with information.
Yeah.
And I think
Especially now, like with TikTok.
yeah,
Kind of a pet peeve. I mean, I think it's cool creativity wise, but I think it's almost too much of, you guys have probably seen like the Charlie Puth where it's like, let me hit my wall and then, let me
right. And
drop
it's
a
all
rock
chopped up and edited
in
and
the-
makes
in
it
the
like
water,
you did
and then all
in
of a sudden
30
it's like a
seconds.
master
Right.
records. Like,
Yeah, no.
I mean, that can be harmful as I don't know,
Yeah.
my personal opinion of like, that's not necessarily a studied approach to doing things
No.
right. And it's
And-
like, if you want, I'm all for experiential sound approach and recording and doing that kind of stuff. But,
Yeah.
like, I think you should learn, like, you should know how to record first and learn the software before
Yeah.
you're just,
The learning the computer is definitely the most important part. Like, you don't have to have crazy, like, I'm still using warm WA-84s on the They sound great. I
I've heard
probably
really good
wouldn't-
things about Warm.
Yeah, well, I don't know what those are up there, but it's sort of a similar microphone.
It's all Audix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Similar.
basically Warm's version of the Audix.
Yeah.
I like them because at this point I'm realizing sometimes you want like that great overhead picture of the kit, and that's going to be like the main sound. But really how I use overheads is just blending in. And the thing about a pencil condenser is you can really get a good image of the kit that sits nice with all the other microphones. Because I had up the 87s before, and it just made everything really wide. And those are great microphones, and they're more expensive. But it's all about just utility of like how you use these things. Like, how do you get a drum set to sound like a drum set? How do you get a drum set to sound nothing like a drum set, but still feel like a drum set?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just trying to like zoom out and see the bigger picture. Like, I always say recording's like a fuzzy photograph when you first get into it, because it's like, yeah, I think there are trees and people in here. I can't really tell. And the more you learn about signal flow and gain staging, it's like that picture just gets clearer and clearer.
Yeah, what a great analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
And
that makes
I
sense.
think when you get on YouTube, it's just like so much input that you're like, I have to worry about polarity and stuff. It's like, yeah, you do, but just play. Just practice it
Use
like
your
you
ears.
would. Use your ears. Play around like you would be if you're it's literally just like practicing the drums. It's like, well, other people do this. I could put a microphone on a tom. There is some way to make this sound good, and I'll just figure that out.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you can do those moves before you're even on the kit, you know, which is kind of the great thing about being in Amber Sound is I'm going into the control room first, making the moves on the desk, going in the control room, and then I have my satellite set up, and I'm using console so I can gain stage from console and then record into Pro Tools.
Mhm.
And it's very I don't know. It's just it's a fun solo solitude path to be on.
Yeah.
You know, once you figure it out, it's like the most fun thing in the world to me.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. As someone that's also, doing recording and experimenting in this very room with all that kind of stuff. What's your thoughts on getting the sound right from the source? It sounds like that's...
So I was about to bring up, if you want to get good at recording yourself, start to take, and depending on the area you're in, but there's always a gig available, take a front of house gig. Like, learn live sound first. That's kind of how I perfected knowing about gating and compression and EQ was through my college internship. I sort of fudged the admittance into that by using the band who were alum of my university. So I went around kind of getting signatures and going to bat for myself of like, yeah, this is what I want my internship to. And I was going for logistics or business, so I kind of was able to say, well, it's a functioning band, it's a business or whatever. I literally, every show was out of front of house. Yeah. With the exception of a couple that I was a manager on or stage manager or whatever, I was always going out to front of house if there was a guitar check. And watching Jamie work and mix front of house, and that I learned all the basics from that. And if you can master that desk and how to make things sound good in a room that's maybe not supposed to sound good, when it comes to live music, you could take all those sort of macro skills and then apply them to the drum set.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
I think especially like we were just saying, in today's modern world, social media, people that are interested in recording, whether it's drums or anything else, it's like you just get inundated with, you got to buy this plugin or learn compression or learn this outboard gear. But your approach is like back it up. And,
get
from a live sound experience,
and get away from the drums. Yeah. Like, the drums are only one piece. How do you make a vocal sound good? Well, if you can make a vocal sound good, you start to see like, there's some frequencies in a vocal that are also in a snare drum. Yeah, or also in cymbals.
And then EQ and all that.
Exactly. 400 sounds bad in an acoustic guitar, just like it sounds bad in a snare drum or in a tom. You start to sort of piece those things together, much like how you understand chaining signal flow or whatever. You're like, that goes to that. And then this goes, oh my God. And then you're like, that part was easy all along. I didn't even realize that it was that simple. Yeah. It's a lot to do with just blind confidence too, of just going like, I don't know, this other idiot figured it out. I'm stupid. I just that kind of thing too. You got to have that fire of just being like, I love drums. I love making drums sound different. And then if you have that, man, you're going to be
fail
fine.
First. Fail hard and fast is what we've talked about.
Yep.
Fail forward, baby.
Fail forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest mistake for a lot of people is they put way too many mics and they use way too much compression, and they feel like, well, if I keep using the stuff that makes recording sound good, my recording will sound good. And then it's just like putting deodorant on when you haven't taken a shower. And it's like 6 days of that.
You just take the shower, man.
Just take the shower. Yeah. And you just keep covering it up, and you never really learn what fundamental frequencies are in which drum or what a standing frequency is in the room. Learning those big concepts like gain staging and light compression and naturally standing frequencies. If you could read a book about it and further your recording career way more than you would if you're just banging your head against the wall, just sitting in front of Logic trying to put stock plugins on something.
Yeah. For the audio nerds listening, and for myself, I just was thinking in terms of editing. So once the drums have been recorded and you're going through that process, for the toms, do you gate or do you actually delete audio when the toms aren't being hit?
I strip silence. Money can kind of factor in this too. Of like,
how much time do you have to do? Yeah,
exactly. It's like it doesn't take that long, but man, it's so project dependent because I will use gates, and I'm not really a big fan of expanders and gates. But if it's like, man, we're just mixing this for like promo purposes or what, we just need to sound it like a mixed drum set. Well, I'm not going to go in and trim up the toms or whatever, but I did do a lot of that, especially working for Grady. And I did that a lot for a few producers for a while, where I was pretty much just dragging files in and strip silencing and making sure all the transits were there and making sure all my fades were there. And like just getting those reps in of actually having time on the keyboard and the mouse, that's also huge too. Being fast at the
well, I guess
computer
I mean
part,
that
too.
specifically is also a preference thing, right? I mean, there's
Dude,
probably audio nerds or guys that are like, no, only use gate or
There are songs that we hear
only
on the
delete
radio
audio,
that
like-
have never been strip silenced. I mean, they're, I threw 3 mics up at recording. There's a lot of Aaron songs. Like I know Aaron doesn't he's told me he doesn't strip silence toms or whatever. He's like, I don't know. I do each sample by hand and say, I don't think he uses trigger 2 or whatever. It's like totally style dependent,
Sure. I guess I'm more of a purist. I enjoy like if the tom is not getting played, then if you solo that mic, you'll hear obviously sound, which me I'm like
can be good.
It can be good. It can
sometimes.
beef up the kit, obviously.
Yeah, it can beef it up. If you're doing a big old style rock song, it's great. But if you're doing pop country, you should know those couple of tricks that you could do to get it close to the sound. It's like just kind of shadow an engineer and listen to videos of engineers just talking about their process and different styles of music. And it's like, well, that's a sound in itself. That's a style in itself. This is almost a tool to use to change the complete sound of a drum set or how drums sit in this style of song. So, that and using Stephen Slate trigger. That's a big one. That's a very big one.
Yeah. Want to give a quick shout out for the Music City Drum Show happening July 29th and July 30th right here in Nashville, Tennessee. This year's event will feature hundreds of exhibitors with new products that you can test and try for yourself. Also, this year's clinics will feature Rich Redmond and Ray Luzier, so don't want to miss those. And again, you can use the promo code NDP, all lowercase, for 10% off tickets, which are available only online at musiccitydrumshow.com. We hope to see you there. Well, you mentioned in your notes here, your dad was an ex-Rusted Root member. You want to
So
story?
My dad plays with an ex-Rusted Root member, which my friends, they're like, don't say that, and just say that he was in Rusted Root. It's much more interesting. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to lie. He plays with...
So I read that wrong. Yeah, you're right.
No,
Plays with ex-Rusted Root
I should have just not even corrected you. Go on that. No, he is a guitar player, mandolin player for Jim Donovan, the Sun King Warriors. Jim Donovan was the drummer in Rusted Root. He's been a great mentor of mine, one of the few mentors that I had in my time in Pittsburgh. Showed me a lot about drumming with other people, percussion. I did his camp all through high school. Just a good friend and a good guy to know. And my dad's been a playing and recording member of that band for maybe 13 years now. So
cool.
They gig around and
he's still going at it. He's still active.
Yeah, still active. That actually, at the time in my life where I was kind of getting, I maybe had just started studying percussion again and was getting close to getting my degree. I watched him just shed the mandolin like from scratch because they needed more instrumentation in the band. He's like, well, I could do that. And it was like super inspiring to like watch him start from scratch with an instrument at 48 years old or whatever he was at the time and just really become a very proficient mandolin player. And that kind of ignited something in me of like, I come from like kind of a musical family and this isn't something that's ever going to go away. So I better chase it fully.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing moving to Nashville too. It was like, well, I'm moving here for a reason. Like I feel like I would have been letting friends and family down if I wouldn't have hit it hard, and done you always know what you're supposed to be doing. You always kind of know like, I should go out and see that guy. I should say yes to this gig, even though I'm scared to say yes to it. Mm-hmm. And there were those moments of moving to town first, especially working with Grady, where he was at a point where he didn't want to be taking these gigs. So he was getting hit up for these, like, there's some heavy players, some heavy cats on those gigs. He's like, you want it? And I'm like, oh God, but I just felt like I'd studied enough and like, what am I going to do? Say no? Like, why would I? So it's like, I might fall flat on my face and I've come damn close. Yeah. I definitely have some stories of just looking like a jackass, but it's like, I'm not going to say no.
It's a great
you
mindset.
know, because it's either say yes and maybe succeed at it, and if you don't, you know, at least you know, or just say no because I'm kind of scared. You know, it's like I'm not gonna say no to anything, and I didn't for a long time. I just said yes to everything.
Yeah,
you know.
My friend Joel Turcotte, great drummer, he has said, I would rather. He's like, he always talks about. He's like, I know that I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And in my time on Earth, which is limited, I would rather try to do the thing that I'm interested in and fail at that than not. The end. Like, that's it.
I'll tell you what, from experience, it feels way better to kind of fail than to know you could have said yes and you said no. That is a longer lasting effect.
Yeah.
The immediacy of failure hurts, but you get over it pretty quick.
Yes.
The saying no and feeling like an absolute wimp and a coward lasts way longer.
Yes.
So,
both of those things have a profound effect on your life going forward. I mean, that's like ask the pretty girl out.
Yeah.
It's really that.
And man, I'm 28 now, and I moved here when I was 25. Like I had a bit of a life before this too, of like turning down jobs and relationships sort of going by the wayside because I knew I was going to be moving, and I gave up so much time to study too. It's like, what am I going to do? Like that time would have been for nothing. You know, you could look at it that way too.
Yeah.
Not to be that intense, but it is you know, you got to, everything in life, there's a path and a sacrifice that one person made. Maybe the bigger sacrifices than others, but like, you just got to think about it that way of like, you only get one shot. There's no dress rehearsal. So it's like, you gotta really do it, you know? And the successes by doing that are, they just change the way you view everything and kind of let your life blossom and let you be a much kinder person to other people and be a tool for people and be inspiring to people and be just a better person to be around.
Yes.
You know, people want to be around a guy who kind of charges into the unknown.
Yes.
You know, so.
You guys would probably both agree. I mean, maybe it's a few successes I think would easily outweigh the many failures.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
and
the reward is worth it.
That whole thing of like, people don't forget, you know, in town, it's like, yeah, they don't, but there's a lot of people to work for.
Yeah, as long as you weren't an asshole in the process.
Exactly.
Right.
That thing will get spread around and more of like, I don't know, he was just off that day or whatever. That kind of will fall by the wayside. But if you're like a real jackass and like saying some real off the wall shit, people will remember that, and that will get spread around.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a second chance, I think, playing. And there might be, I've done sessions and played with people before where it's like, I can obviously tell them the weakest link in the room, being the youngest guy too. Like, it's, you know, there's really no substitute for time. There are obviously a lot of talented people here, but there's a sort of chill, relaxed thing when it's a thing you just do every day, like it's your life. And when you're trying to form your life and trying to make something become your life, there is still that little bit of urgency to it, and I gotta nail this, or I'm gonna talk a lot because I feel like this is my only time to put that energy that I have inside me into a situation. But man, in those situations, you never know who's listening, who you're gonna be playing beside, or what you're gonna do that's a little different than other people, and you can kind of pull from your bag of tricks to be like, I'm going to approach it this way. Or I heard that classic record and these guys might know it. I might put one brush in my hand and do this side stick thing. And I've had people who are, you know, A-list session guys come up and go, that's country, man. That's country. And that's, you know, just by listening and getting away from thinking about it as the drum set and just kind of being creative. Yeah. So you just never know. Just throw yourself in. You never know what you might lack, but then also have to show and have to contribite to a situation.
Yeah, man. Well said.
Well, and it's an encouragement for myself. I have recently come to realize that I have not been involved in some situations here in town where, like, in scenes that I'm actually interested in being involved in. I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to that. I'm like, it's never going to just happen.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to go and be present at that thing all of the time.
I heard something today is like, is it something that you would say yes to right now? Yeah. If it's next week, would you say yes to it if somebody was like, well, actually, that's happening right now? That's something you should probably go do.
Mm-hmm.
Make time for that thing that you would do immediately, that you would drop something for.
Yeah.
If you're putting it off for a week and it's not really something you want to be involved in, you're probably not going to want to do it when it comes up. But if it's something you really want to do, put it down on the calendar and just stick to it, man. And just go out.
Yeah.
Because the putting off those things or hanging out with certain people or getting coffee or whatever, those can add up and it could just feel like a wall of despair. Where you're like, I've put, it never really goes away. It's kind of always like ringing in the back of your head,
oh, man.
The alarm going off where it's like, I got to do this thing. It's like, just shut all the doors, shut all the windows, and just clean house and like just put the things on the calendar and just go do it.
Yeah. Like you said, like, what you should be doing, and that voice in the back of your head.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get distracted, and whether it's going out and networking, it's like, I'll go to that jam next week.
Yeah.
For me, it was I live super close to the East Side Jam in East Nashville.
Yeah.
And just hadn't gone in so long, and I finally went this past weekend. Last night, actually, and it was amazing. I mean, I didn't play or anything, but just met, new friends, talked to some older friends, just talked about the podcast. I mean, it was just such a great networking, just a great hang. Forget networking. I hate that word now.
Yeah.
But, but like I knew, like I gotta go. Like I know. Put it in the calendar. A trick that I've done is I put some of those recurring jams that happen in town. I just put them on my calendar as a recurring event.
You're right, and if it just happens,
and I'll
to
see
be
like
free,
which maybe I'll hit. Maybe it'll be like a 40% success rate that I go to those each month. It applies for just fun stuff too. Like there's trivia that happens every Thursday night.
Yeah.
I put every Thursday that comes up. I don't think I've gone to that yet. Another example, but I know like I want to. I put it down for a reason. Like I need to balance time from just being a human and having friendships and all that kind of stuff too.
It kind of goes back to the gym thing too. It's like, just drive to the gym parking lot.
Yeah.
Put your shoes on. Maybe you'll get out. Okay, I got out. I'm walking in the door.
Yeah.
I'm going to go lift this. And before you know it, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
like,
true.
Exactly.
It's like, or driving a dime into practice or whatever. There was a lot of that when I first moved to town, when I had the spot just right over there. It was like, I'm going to put my shoes on. I'm going to be just a robot and just get in the car.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in the car. I'm here now. Just
oh my
like
gosh.
making just the snap decision,
Yeah.
It's real. I love using the gym metaphor, because really the best thing you can do is just get there.
Yeah.
Just get there.
If
you walk in those
present
doors,
to win or whatever.
Right. That's it.
Showing up
Yeah,
to
but it's
battle.
true,
It really is.
I'm like, obviously there's something to be said for if you like, oh yeah, like you can do, being intense and really going for it. There's obviously tons of merit to that. But if you're not doing it, just get through the front door.
Yeah.
Just be there. Just show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said.
Thought I'd try drinking coffee and I made it black and strong, but I found it's just another thing to spend my money on.
This is, and I always credit him whenever I say it. This is one of my favorite questions I stole from Tim Ferriss. What is your favorite purchase in the last year? Let's go 2 years, under $100.
Ooh. It was kind of, it's right at that price point, but I got this
SM57.
Yeah, right. Another. Yeah.
Well, this one's my lucky 57.
I have this Kent snare drum that I bought that sounds like an absolute piece of shit, and I love it. It has the original head on it, came in the original box, has the original stand, and I rarely ever use it, but I'll put it up, and underneath microphones recorded, it just sounds like a baseball bat into a wedding cake, and I just love it.
I love it.
It's just so wrong for so many things, but so right for so many other things.
Just soggy.
Yeah. So if anybody wants that, hit me up.
Was that a reverb
on a
purchase or
recording.
Facebook? Or?
That was reverb, and oddly enough, we were planning on going through Pittsburgh to do a club show, but we ended up postponing it. The guy, it just happened to be a snare drum that was in Pittsburgh, and some guy had it and it was in great condition. I'm like, oh, no way. My home city,
Nice.
and we're going to play it. we're going to meet up in the South Side. He's going to give it to me or whatever. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, we postponed the show. I'm not going to be able to get it. He's like, I'll ship it to you for free. So I think it ended up being, right around $100.
Cool.
And that was cool. Also, molded earplugs. Great purchase too. $100. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Molded
use it all the time.
earplugs. Interesting.
Yeah. The best instrument you have is your ears,
Definitely.
That's
I
what
agree.
I think. So.
Take care of those ears.
Okay. Do you do the hot chicken in Nashville?
Oh, boy. So when I came here for the first time in 2017, I did Prince's. That was my first foray into hot chicken.
Spice level?
Medium. I like to be able to still taste it a couple bites in. I like spice. That's the thing. It's like, but it has to be a certain type of spice. Like I love Indian food. I love Thai food. I love all of that. The hot chicken spice it feels like a bit of a novelty at a point, where it's like we're the hottest. It's just like, okay, is this food anymore?
Am I enjoying this or am I going to the emergency room?
It's also exorbitantly expensive. It's not my favorite thing to eat in Nashville. My favorite restaurant in Nashville is the Treehouse at 5 Points.
I've been there.
I love that restaurant. My dad and I went there one time. We've gone there for the past 2 Thanksgivings. We went there one time and they had new chefs and we sat at the bar and it was one of those beautiful moments where like things just line up. They fed us like 6-7 courses. I think the bill was like $60 or something like that. Because they were trying things out. It was one of those like amazing food experiences.
It's a cool place. It's a little bit different. It's not your standard restaurant. I haven't been there in a while.
Yellow Porch is great too.
Yeah.
There's so many good food spots in there. It doesn't have to be hot chicken.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to.
Could be pizza too.
Yeah, but I do like hot chicken. I love any piece of chicken with 2 pickles on it and some buns, or some bread.
Noted.
I had one from nowhere in particular. That's definitely not close to here. Right before this podcast.
Nice.
I got you.
With a nowhere in particular sauce.
No. Nothing that's kind of like a honey mustard, but a little different.
Yep. Where do you want people to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at DGMurph, Ben Chapman and Company, benchapman.com. Look at his Instagram, ambersound.com. We have not updated the website in a while, but we have that beautiful new mixing board. And if anybody wants drums put on the track for a very low price, please hit me up, DM me, send me an email, maybe that,
Dude. Where is this studio located?
This is in Hermitage, right off Andrew Jackson Parkway. So,
Cool, man. Well, it's so good to have you on the podcast. And
I'm glad we finally did this. This is great. And you guys keep growing at a rapid rate. So, a lot of exciting things.
Yeah. We love doing it. So.
Maybe some bigger names to come. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for having little old me on here. And this has been great.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That sweet breeze home. I can't remember where I've been.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast.
If you've enjoyed these podcasts, please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can help support this dream and keep the ball rolling for us. Believe it or not, it's not free or even necessarily cheap for us to make this thing go. To sign up, go to patreon.com/Nashville Drummers Podcast or click the link in our Instagram bio. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
Check out our new website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com. And if you're not already following us on Instagram, you can follow us at Nashville Drummers Podcast.
This episode was recorded at Diamond Sound Studios located in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Where I stop when I get sideways over you. Settle down, hurry up, can't be late. For you're nothing to do.